Both Russians and people from Luhansk were shooting. In this storage, premixes worth 300,000 euros were destroyed with one shot. Pigs suffered without feed. If there is nothing to feed, then at least to give some water. We lost about 60,000 pigs in total during the occupation. One more meter and we will shoot to kill. Were they Russians? Yes. Before the war, the agricultural plant Slobozhansky was one of the largest pig breeding complexes in eastern Ukraine. The complex was built in 1971. It was modernized several times. Animal feeding was provided by their own compound feed plant. Before the war, our complex was so powerful that 2 out of 3 Kharkiv residents ate our meat. About 60–70% of all meat in Kharkiv region was from Slobozhansky. From the first days of the war, the enterprise was under occupation, and from mid-April, when the troops of the Ukrainian Armed Forces drove the Russian occupiers away from Kharkiv, the settlements of Chkalovske and Ivanivka were in the first line of fire for 5 months. There was absolutely no electricity here, no mobile connection. Of course, if there wasn't any electricity, there was no automation of the entire pig complex, i.e. water supply, air filtration, microclimate, feeding. Imagine what it was like a city. There were 30,000 animals at the same time. Well, 20–30 people used to work at the complex. Of course, they don't carry water and food in the buckets like old women in the village. Everything was automated. And we simply plunged into the Stone Age because it was impossible to feed them by hand. Moreover, our feed mill was destroyed and we produced feed ourselves. Our kulibins tried to make different crushers, but they couldn't be compared with the plant because the capacity of the factory was 200 tons per day. Well, the crusher can produce 20 tons per day. This is its maximum. We fed them by hand, gave water. If there was nothing to feed, then at least to give some water. There would be something in the stomach. And so we just said sorry to them in quotation marks, and what else we could do. According to the employees of the agricultural complex, during the occupation, they worked only in the first half of the day and turned on the generator in order not only to feed the pigs, but also to supply water to people in the village of Chkalovske. After lunch we left, and sometimes the occupiers came to us, who said that they were liberators, and they said that no one was allowed to be here after 1 p.m. We are the masters of life here. There were practically no people to work. People were afraid because the Russian military were shooting at machines and workers. They even shot at our Zisk, machines that brought in compound feed from the factory. They trained in such a way. Even the locksmiths who were walking through the territory there, they were shot warning fire so that they would not go any closer. Both Russians and people from Luhansk were shooting. There were cases when they came, drove their cars, and put a sentry with a machine gun. I came to them once. They said that if I went nearer 1 more meter, they would shoot to kill. Were they Russians? Yes. Did the Russians say that? Yes, they were stealing. They stole not only pigs, but also agricultural machinery and fuel. During the occupation, 17 pieces of equipment were stolen. Trucks, buses, pickup trucks, dusters, all-terrain vehicles. Well, more than 20 were destroyed by shots there. Those were MAs and grain trucks and ordinary equipment, and esik, which we used to transport animal feed. Where the villages were occupied, trucks and agricultural machinery were taken away. Farmers said that they saw them on the GPS navigator in Rostov in the Kursk region, on the territory of the Russian Federation. That is, they were driven out abroad. Before the war, the enterprise supplied itself with fodder thanks to its own crop production on 6,500 hectares of leased land. That's why after the deoccupation, farmers tried to sow farmland, but it was too difficult because the community of Chkalovske is very mined. We found 300, 400, 600 mines in one field. Therefore, demining is very slowly. That is, this year we managed to sow 1/6, 1,000 hectares. We sowed 1,200 sappers work here, and volunteers and Americans came. The whole world. And we made autopilots for the old equipment. This equipment cost about $10,000, plus installation and welding. Everyone does it in a different, creative way. Some put up grass rollers, some use different equipment. It all costs about $15,000 in total. If the tractor is completely destroyed, the equipment is removed and put onto another tractor, if the previous one can't be repaired. The losses of the enterprise and the community are enormous. Ruined buildings and destroyed compound feed. For example, the storage of the nutritional supplement for pigs premix. This is a very precious thing. We had about 100 big bags there. One costs 3,000 euros, that is 300,000. Something was saved, but 300,000 euros were destroyed with one shot. I believe that losses are not only those 3,000 winter crops that we did not harvest, that is, our harvest in the field, but also the unearned profit. If you calculate how it used to bring $300, 200 from a hectare of land, from the production of agricultural products, multiply by 6,000 and the years when we will not be able to sow yet. How much will it be? 5, 6, 10 years? We don't know.